Fire 242 approved. 10-421 email and choose the home mail. Copy Miles.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This report is actually going to be, I believe, from August through the end of the year. Due to some scheduling issues, we got pushed back a little bit. To compete with the fire department, I'll start with the good news. In August, we obviously participated in the National Night Out with the fire department and council members and a variety of other people. Part of our tradition is to collect food, and over 600 pounds of food was collected by from the residents and transported to local food shelves. We also participated in the annual safety camp, where they learn about fire, water, and electrical safety, self-defense, drug awareness, and stranger danger. September brought the first day of school. Each day we try to have high visibility in the areas of each school. Our patrol division had squad cars at each school before and afterwards. We try to continue that through the school year, especially when there's pedestrians as time allows. Our MAG team, which is a group of Dakota County officers, typically could be considered a SWAT team. They attended a week-long training at Fort McCoy that's done annually to sharpen their skills. And of course, Land of Amazement, which most people know about, opened this year, and we had officers help building the new playground. In October, officers attended, and it was rather cold, department-wide firearms and use of force training. As you know, in the past year, a record number of officers were ambushed, and it forces officers to rescue their partners after being shot and injured, and we spent a day training and learning how to handle those situations. Officer Kara Wachorek completed her formal training and was put to solo duties in October. You met her at one of our last council meetings. Officers Roberts and Wachorek also represented us at Lakeville's Hy-Vee October Fall Fun Festival. Had 1,700 people attend. Second year in a row, we received a Distinguished Agency Award for Dakota County Traffic from Dakota County Traffic Group. That's given to the agency that works the most hours above and beyond their regular patrol schedule. During this year's grant period, we worked 504 hours. We covered over 10,000 miles and made over 1,000 traffic stops. Officer Brad Woodman also wrote the most seatbelt citations in the county. And after some of the tragic deaths we've had in the past several years, that's why we're really focusing on seatbelts. Officer Noah Landers and Bob Rue and Kara Wachorek were introduced at the December council meeting. There they are with some family and friends. And Officer Sean Fitzhenry was awarded the 2016 MAG Negotiator of the Year. He was recognized for his work and call-outs throughout the year. Back up, I should also point out Officer Fitzhenry is also an active member of our military and is being deployed to Afghanistan in less than a month. We assisted with 55 kids in the fire department with Shop with a Hero event. It was very successful. And we collected more toys than ever for our Toys for Tots campaign. We also had a second year of what we call LPD's Blue Santa. It's an event that we try to have a positive interaction with children that have been exposed to some sort of emotional hardship from being a victim or a witness to kind of a horrific crime. It was very successful. We had a lot of donations from the community to help us do that, and we just think it was a great event that will continue year to year. In each December, our police reserves get together for the holiday celebration. They donated over 2,743 hours of service over the last year. It's a picture of two reserves that have stepped down over the year, one of which, Bill Considine, went on to be a police officer at a different city in Minnesota. So we want to thank the entire community for our support. Obviously, it's a rough time for law enforcement right now. Seem to get published for all the things we do wrong instead of the things that we do right, but our community has been great, and we appreciate that. Some notable cases over the last several months, we had several home burglaries where people were breaking in and stealing refrigerators, stove, dishwashers, things of that sort. Through our street crimes unit, we were able to solve that issue and recovered quite a few of those. They were being sold on Craigslist. Essentially what was happening, the person would run an ad on Craigslist that he had a dishwasher or whatever, wait for someone to respond, figure out what they wanted, and he'd go steal one to match what he wanted. So we had a child abduction. I try not to put too much gory things in here, and this wasn't a random child abduction. This was parents that took their children without permission and disappeared. Why I bring this up is there was a good citizen in Minneapolis that we're going to bring, hopefully in front of the council sometime over the next 6 months, that just saw something suspicious behind a grocery store and he's the one that actually found the children. Unfortunately, the parents were using illegal drugs and have been kind of on a binge. We had a gun stolen out of a car. We can't remind people enough to remove things from their car. Don't leave anything in your car. Fortunately, we were able to recover the gun in which 2 felons had stolen. A check forgery report, just a good reminder for people, these were stolen out of mailboxes. If you're expecting a check, make sure that it shows up. If not, report it as stolen. Although part of the case was in Woodbury, they're actually in charge of the case in Washington County. So let's talk a little bit about calls for service. I breeze through these. We were up just a tad this year for calls for service. Traffic stops and accident calls. Traffic stops were up a little bit again, despite the fact that December was very, very difficult to perform any traffic enforcement due to the cold weather, the ice, and the snow. These are accidents. You can see accidents are up slightly. Personal injury accidents are down. That tends to be cyclical. There's no really rhyme or reason to it. We do like to believe, and statistics will show, the more traffic enforcement you do, the fewer accidents you will have, and I will have a map that will kind of demonstrate that in a few minutes. So some of the calls that just might be interested, animal calls, I found this very interesting. One difference of a call: burglar alarms, almost identical as to the year before, and Chief Meyer already covered fire alarms. So our specific crime-related calls, suspicious activity, I always emphasize people should always call 911 if they see something suspicious, and those numbers are going up, so that is a good thing. Theft, down a little bit. These tend to be cyclical. Again, fraud is up, theft is down. You'll notice that burglaries are down slightly. The thing that I always like to point out about burglaries is it would take one group to come through and hit 15 or 16 houses, and those numbers can flop significantly. Robberies are 4 and 6, so no significant change there. We've changed the title of this slide to persons in crisis calls. The number of domestic disputes we've had went up slightly. Again, that's going to depend year to year depending on your population size. What we call a welfare check, when somebody is in need, someone's concerned about somebody, these are the calls, that's how they're labeled. Mental health crisis calls, slight increase there. This is what I'm finding positive is we do have a mental health crisis team that follows up. This is our first full year in doing it, and whether that's making a difference or there's something else, but we believe that's a significant drop for 1 year. Medical calls, Chief Meyer kind of discussed this. They were up, a couple hundred this year, which would be consistent as the population grows. You're going to have obviously more medical emergencies, and same thing with deaths. Part 1 and Part 2 crimes. Nothing significant here to point out. Aggravated assaults are up significantly. Why that is, I don't really have an answer. The majority of Part 1 and Part 2 crimes are on a downward trend, and we're proud about that. News from our traffic unit. August through December, they made a little over 1,000 traffic stops, 925 citations, 116 warnings, and 82 hours of directed patrol. Directed patrol is where people call in to complain about traffic issues. We will go and sit there. And we did that for 82 different hours. Here's the map. Red is accidents, blue is traffic stops, and I will have the 4 quadrants of the city. But we try to focus our traffic enforcement efforts where we're seeing car accidents. And so you notice typically big blue blobs around the red accidents. And that, again, is our effort to decrease accidents and decrease accidents and increase visibility. You can see the accidents as we go through the different quadrants. We also get in, some of these blue dots where we're doing traffic stops will seem random, but that's where we're getting the complaints, and that's where we'll send our officers to sit. Even if they don't see anything, at least they're spending some time in the area. Comparative stats, we changed to a new records management system and computer-aided dispatch system this year. The numbers that we're getting aren't what we were seeing before, and the system won't pull the numbers the same way, so right now Egan isn't involved in this because they would have to manually count their numbers for us. So we're just comparing Lakeville to Woodbury in this. Hopefully as the system improves, we'll be able to get those numbers. So total calls year to date, just Egan, Burnsville, and Lakeville. So out of those 3 cities, Egan's slightly ahead of us, Burnsville slightly below us. And I'll end it with our mission statement, and I will stand for any questions.
1014 email and female, copy mile.
Edgerton,